Hi, another quick demo today. Today's is about doing real-time retail. So I have some grocery data that I want to be able to ingest real-time, get it with NiFi, clean it up, enrich, transform, route it where it needs to go, buffer it and exchange it globally with Kafka, get it into Flink to do some quick SQL, and with the Power of Cloudera SQL Stream Builder, I could build a materialized view that gives me REST access to this data in a JSON format. Doesn't matter if the original data was JSON, then I converted it into Avro, and then I'm getting it back in as JSON, and then later in a future talk, we will store this in Iceberg, distribute it to some machine learning models in LLM that we've got running in Cloudera Machine Learning, and do some interesting question and answers with what can I do when I know the price of some standard grocery items like cheese, sugar, milk, basically whatever I want to put in my basket. I picked a few items that happen to use a lot or equivalent or things that are very commonly used. Everything is in GitHub, so you can get the source code, get used to it. I've got to upload those flows in a couple different formats. Remember, 9.5 flows should be in JSON. That is the current one. XML will be removed very shortly. Definitely in 9.5.2.0, you will not see any XML. So we've got a schema. It's important. You may not know the schema right away. The nice part of 9.5 is you can explore the data while you're building your dynamic flows. But once you have it, definitely set a schema. Make sure you know the field type, name. You decide, are things going to be uppercase, mixed case, whatever that's going to be. What are the types? Are they nullable? Those sort of things. Do they have a default? What's nice is you can even set defaults with some of these. So we got one for item. These are going to be our grocery items from the product list. I decided to keep a bunch of different connected images in case we want to do some interesting things with image analytics or some deep learning on that. We'll see. For now, I just put it in its own place. We also, another one we'll talk about point of sale, but I don't know if I'll show that today. So we're in NiFi. This is the regular run that's running on premise, the open source, just to make it easy for now. So I've got a lot of other stuff. We'll show you that. But for now, retail gateway. Like I said, I'll show you this one at a future one. This is just an example one to get store data. But this is our flow of the day. And we're going to be grabbing pricing. I'm going to start this. This is just my scheduler. There's lots of ways to schedule things. I could wait for a file to show up, or could have things run continuously. For this one, since it's REST and I'm doing a pull, I'm just going to have this triggered on a timer. As to not run out of free calls, I'm going to keep this every 10 seconds. And you can see here, while you're watching things, you can see data coming through the system. Very amazing feature with NiFi. And you can see there's stats everywhere telling you what's going on. But the easiest is I'll right click, look at view data provenance. This is the lineage of what's been going on. And you could see what's cool is you could even get what happened before it, the whole deal. But most people just want to see the data. So I could see things about this provenance event. When did it run? How long did it take? What type of action occurred? A unique ID for it, its size. Yeah, what was the name of the component that worked on it? Again, if you really want to track things deeply within Cloudera data flow in the cloud, we can monitor each one of these in a whole bunch of different attributes, looking for errors or things are slowing down, whatever. If I look in the attribute values, I could see my unique file name, and then we've got the content here. So we'll let this go up. What I'm doing is picking random items, you know how random is, from my basket, and I do this. I could have used a lot of different lookup services. Just to make it portable for everybody out there, I'm just going to do a simple built-in lookup one. But I could use a database. I could use Elasticsearch, our built-in distributed map, Couchbase, whole bunch of stuff. But I'm going to use a simple key lookup one that's built into NiFi. And here you just add the properties you want with a property and a value. These are the UPC codes for the items and just a number. Because it's a number, I could use that to do my random, which is here. Just do a random from 1 to 19 inclusive. And as you saw, that was my list. Then here I'm going to call Kroger's API for my AOF token. And there's some secret stuff I got to pass to them. You could sign up for your own to get that data. And then I'm going to pull out the access token. And I'm going to make that a header so that when I log in to get my details, it is using that OAuth token. I'm passing in that item that we looked up, that UPC. And I'm also filtering it for the nearest location to me. Obviously, there's a lot of different ways you could do this. We could also pass in a lot of locations if we're looking at a bunch. Depends what makes sense there. Obviously, any of this can be dynamic. If I stop this, I could turn this into a parameter, which I highly recommend. Parameterize everything. Makes it easy when I want to deploy this to production. You don't want to be running in production in open source or on your laptop or in Docker. You really want it in an enterprise supported Cloudera, so you know what happens if things go wrong. Who's going to support it? How do you get the latest versions? All that kind of fun stuff. So here what I'm doing is when that comes in, I want 2 copies of this. So I'm going to use the fork enrichment, send a copy down another path. This is going to split out the images, split these up. And as you see here, I have this paused. I really should make these back pressure higher. I don't know why I had it so low. So here I turned that off because I was just sending so much data. And what's cool is I can just change these on the fly as long as I stop them. If I'm on multi-nodes, maybe I want to round robin that. You get the idea there. But there's a lot of different things you could do with that. Here we go. I'm eventually going to push this to a database. I don't know which one yet. Maybe Postgres, maybe Kudu. Maybe just put in an iceberg table. I don't know. A lot of options there. So I just sent, see if I wait too long, it'll go too fast even on here. But there's a couple thousand sent to that one. We'll send them all. What is it? Okay, so that is what we do with the images. Pretty straightforward. Here we're doing a little more. I am pulling out just the fields I'm interested. There's a lot of extra stuff in there that's very sparse. I'm just taking the ones that I know I need. And I'm going to set a couple of variables to tell me what store I'm coming from, because I have been able to get to other stores in the past. Some of those APIs are closed, some of them are pay. For now, we're sticking with our friends at Kroger. I'll set my schema name. I'm going to put in a timestamp. If one's not in the data, make your own. And I put an update date in a different format, make it legible, and I put a unique ID in there. Fortunately, NiFi has unique data in that lineage. I'll just grab it. And then here I'm going to take just the fields I want and build a new JSON object. If we look at that JSON object, pretty straightforward, but now it's just the fields I was interested in. Good way to do that. And I'm also going to add the price by cleaning up the price, making sure it's numeric. It was string. Why? And here, another trick for doing transformation and enrichment is just using our query record processor. I'm still keeping this in JSON, but I'm picking the fields I want, changing the name of one of the date fields. Who calls the date field date? Change my price. If it's null, make it 0, just so we don't have, so everybody knows what we're doing. And then I could have put the put Kafka in there, but maybe you want to send it somewhere else. If I put it in a different process group, I could just connect them. Here is a cool one. I'm validating it against its schema that we set up in the schema registry so that we're sure this is good data. I don't want to send junk into my Kafka. And let's make sure we're sending data to Kafka successfully. Okay, this message went. I can see the size. Let's check Kafka. Bunch of data is coming in here. Let's take a look at, well, you saw that image. Let's just take a quick look at those. What's this weird formatting? Oh, because I put it in Avro, and I'll show you how we did that. And that maps to that schema, but we could show it in simple JSON. So I have all those images, so if I need to look them up, pretty easy here. Let's go to the item. This is more interesting data, but the same thing. I also put that in Avro. So mapping with the schema, I could get the data. Obviously really big, a lot of fields in there. Not the best way to do it. But as you saw here, see I'm doing Avro and content encoded form. There's a couple different ones. Use the schema name we put in, connect to the schema registry, which is over here. Good to go. So we've got it into Kafka. Data streaming. Let's make sure we left that streaming. Setting those thousands of records. Yeah, we've got at least 30 in there. So I'm going to go to my Flink engine so I can run it. And if we look here, I've got data coming in. I could change the sorting if I wanted. But I like just to see the data. Main thing we're doing here is, this is a Flink job. Let's just double check it's running okay. It's been running for 2 hours. I can look at the details here. And it's pretty straightforward. We've got like a meg running. Just to make sure you know it's running. And again, if it goes to a bigger cluster, that works great too. So we've got that data coming in here. I've set up a materialized view with the UPC as the primary code, how long I'm going to retain it, turn it on, recreate it when it runs, get rid of those nulls. And I set up an API key here. And then I have that here just to see, okay, it's coming in, it's standard JSON. And I use that to be able to feed this HTML page, and I can get all those fields in there. And you can see I put the image in there, which is cool. And if you want to see the image bigger, you could just click it to see it larger. Pretty cool. Let's see if we got any new data. Data's coming in. Pretty cool. I've got 2 pages. This is the jQuery with the data table library, which is really nice. I just set up a table here, connect to that materialized view, make sure things aren't empty, put an image there, and add that row. Pretty easy. I mean, I'm not a front-end person, but it's pretty easy to do that. So just a nice way to do that, and you pick the fields you want. You could sort them while the data's coming in. All those sort of fun things. And then when we're ready to move to production, I could either edit in the Flow Designer, or I could just load it in the catalog. So if I wanted to move my retail flow over into production in the cloud, I could just download it. Once I've downloaded it, load it up here, and I could do that from the command line. It gives me the code to do that. Hit my import. Yeah, this one I have to change one of my services. And what did we do? Not for production. We did not set all of these parameters. There's a ton of them that are hard-coded. You know, when you're developing, you don't think about that. This one I added it. Didn't add it for this other one. I need to do it for there. I need to make sure all my services are local to this processor. Again, a reason why you may want to use the designer. Because if I use the designer, it's sitting here by itself. Nothing else is in there. Very clean way to do it. Depends what you're happy with. But real easy. We have that data coming in. It's coming into Kafka. We get it into our Flink query. That produces a materialized view. Put it over here. And now I could share this feed with anyone who wants it. They can pull it into a Jupyter notebook, into a Cloudera machine learning notebook, whatever makes sense for you, or into a dashboard here, or into Cloudera visualization. This makes everything really easy. Hope you enjoyed this quick thing. Please read the rest of the article. And if you have any questions, reach out. I'll show you how